Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. So today I'm going to talk about NPMS, which is a project that I've created a few months ago. It actually stands for NPM Search, and it was created as an alternative search to the official npmjs.com search. But in the end of the past year, in December, it actually became the official search engine used by npmjs.com itself. So in brief, we're going to talk about the motivation that made me create this project. We're going to talk about the technical solution that I've created. We're going to talk about the launch and the feedback that I got from the community. And finally, we're going to talk about how NPM adopts these projects as their official search. So, as some of you might know, I'm a huge Node.js fan. I use Node.js for quite some time now. And searching for packages is something that I do daily. And obviously, I used npmjs.com to search for packages from other people. But unfortunately, it's had a few problems. And I will talk about the two major problems that I feel that are important. So the first one is that the previous search, the official search, was not configured correctly to handle word normalization. So for instance, plurality and stemming was not being done at all. For instance, stemming, just for stemming is converting a word into its root form. So for instance, running, the root word of running is run. So for instance, if you search for couch-to-be promise or couch-to-be promises, you will get completely different results, as you can see here in the screenshot. Can you see? Well, down there? Yeah. I can zoom in if you guys want. Anyway, on the left you can see couch-to-be promise in singular promise, and you get 2 results. And on the right, couch-to-be promises in plural with 0 results. And this is quite bad because it you might wonder how many packages have you missed in your previous searches just because of this. It's nuts. So the other major issue for me was that the quality of the search results themselves, the order they get into the page, was not good at all. For instance, if you search for web framework, as you can see on the left, you would expect the best frameworks of NPM, of Node, the Node ecosystems to pop up first, but it was not the case. I was expecting to get something like Happy or Express or Koa, but instead we got some not well-known packages as the first result. So this is a problem because users need to scroll to get the best packages they're looking for. On the right, another example, Test Runner is basically not well-known packages as first results. I was expecting something like Happy, sorry, not Happy, but Jest and Ava and something like that to pop up, Mocha to pop up first. Again, it was not the case. So I was not alone in this experience, the search engine experience in terms of issues. And I've selected here a few tweets. This one is quite funny. We got Chris Key saying, NPM search sucks so much it pulled the moon into a closer orbit. And then we got Third Eden saying, NPM's growth probably relates to the routable search functionality. People can find packages, so they write their own. And I must agree with this sentence because it actually happened to me more than once. I ended up making my own module and found later that something similar actually existed before. So, after several years of experiencing this, I had to do something. So I stopped and I've created NPMS. And NPMS was created with a huge goal to iterate over all the packages from the NPM ecosystem and score them. And with the score, we can finally offer a much better search experience for everyone, not only for myself, but to the community. So heading to the technical solution, the most important piece of the software is the NPMS analyzer. The NPMS analyzer is basically a long-running process. There is continuously analyzing all the packages from NPM, from the NPM ecosystem. And I've selected here the 3 most important phases that it composes it. The first one is the collection phase, which is basically we gather a lot of information from a variety of sources. And with that information, we can then make proper assumptions and proper evaluations, which heads on to the second step, which we take this information and we group them into logical clusters in categories. In this case, the top level categories are quality, popularity, and maintenance. And we evaluate the packages assuming these categories. The evaluation is simply a process of converting metadata in scalar values, in numbers, simple numbers. And finally, with the evaluation of a package, we can finally compare the package evaluation with everyone else's packages, because they also have their own evaluation. And the comparison is basically taking the evaluation and comparing against the minimum, the maximum, the mean, and the median values of all the evaluations. And that's how we score, by applying a mathematical formula. So you might be wondering, what does contribute to quality, to popularity, and to maintenance? In case of quality, I've selected a few here. For instance, we test if the package has a README, does it have a license, does it have git ignore, does it have tests? If so, what's their coverage, etc. We got a bunch of them here. You might read when I passed the popularity. Anyway, the popularity is composed by metrics that tell us how popular it is, a module. In this case, number of stars, number of forks, downloads, contributors, downloads, acceleration, the dependence count, basically. And all of these metrics also contribute to popularity. And finally, the maintenance are metrics that tell us how well maintained is a package. For instance, the ratio of open issues versus total issues, the time it takes to close an issue, the most recent commits, etc. So in order to collect as many information as possible, we use a lot of third-party services. In this case, we use GitHub to extract a lot of data, as you saw before, the number of stars, forks, the commit history, the collaborators, etc. We use Node Security Project, also known as NSP, which basically we use NSP to get the dependencies vulnerabilities, basically, how many they are. We also use Shields.io to get the badges value. Sorry. That's how we get the badges value. For instance, we get the coverage percentage by looking at the badge value that's after the coverage percentage. We use David to get the outdated dependencies that each package has. And finally, we use NPM itself because it has an API. So we can get the downloads frequency of a package, how many times it is downloaded per month, etc. And also, we get the dependence counts from NPM. So we got here a huge diagram. It's a complicated one. That basically is an overview of how NPMS Analyzer looks like. At the top level, we get the observers, which are simply entities that are responsible for pushing modules to be analyzed. They are pushed down into the queue. For instance, when a person publishes a package into NPM, our real-time observer watches it and pushes into the queue. The queue is simply a RabbitMQ instance. It's nothing special. And finally, we get that pipeline, the analysis pipeline, as I call it, which basically are a bunch of workers triggering the analysis process into a pipeline. It is composed mainly by 4 phases, which is the module data, which is basically an NPM info common with an extra information provided by CouchDB itself. We actually download the source code because usually packages that are published on NPM does not contain do not contain tests and other stuff, and we must analyze how good the tests are and actually the test size, etc. Then we got the collection phase, as I've spoken before, and finally the evaluation phase, which take all the collected information and group them by quality, popularity, and maintenance, and outputs a scalar value. That analysis process produces an analysis document that is saved on NPMS storage, and finally we have the score phase, which is the final one, and we take this analysis and compare against everyone else and produce a score. That's it, basically. That score is actually indexed on Elasticsearch so that we can then query the index. If you are interested in knowing more about this, this was a very raw explanation. You might look at the following link to get more about how this works internally. So besides the NPMS Analyzer, the NPMS brand actually has 3 more projects. The first one is the API, which is basically a RESTful API that offers searching for packages using simple HTTP requests. Then we got the www web app, which basically serves npms.io. We got the CLI software, which you can install on your computer and have a program in which you can directly search packages from your terminal. So enough with the talking. You might be wondering, how good is it? So I'm going to get out of the demo, and I'm actually going to show you the previous searches that I've shown you in the slides. And I'm going to open here. So on the left, you get the old npm search. It's not the currently the npmjs.com one, because they have replaced and used npms.io. So I got here the old search and npms.io on the right. If I search for Wave Framework here, we get Express, Connect, Happy, and Koa, and Sales, which are good indicatives of good packages, well-known packages around the keywords we're searching. Additionally, we can look here the overall quality, popularity, and maintenance scores of each package. The other search was Test Runner. So if we search for Test Runner here, we get Karma, Jest, Java, and some other packages. Also, the top ones are good and well-known packages from within the community. So, heading on to the presentation, the launch and feedback. So, NPMS was launched at 12th of June 2016, and it took quite a lot of work to do because it has to do. I have to do it off work, obviously, and I want to personally thank André Duarte. His contributions were very helpful. Thank you, André, by the way. So I've selected here a few tweets from the community. For instance, Clement Stoll saying, NPMS.io is amazing. It alleviates one of NPM's biggest pain points, search discoverability. Good job. And we also here have Janice Kreisman saying, nice, NPM search just as it is supposed to be. Additionally, I got some interesting feedback from companies well known from the community, and they actually offered some support in terms of sponsorship. In this case, Keymetrics and Opbit. Also, thank you very much for your support to NPMS.io. And we head on to our last topic, which is NPM adoption. This is a blank slide on purpose because I got a little surprise for you guys. So instead of being me talking about this topic, I'm going to invite Benjamin Coe. He's directly live from the United States, San Francisco. and he's going to talk about this subject. So let's try. Yeah. Increase the sound. I'm going to switch the laptop to you guys so he can see you. Hopefully this will work. Yeah. Can you see them, Benjamin?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, it's fine. So,
are you okay?
Yeah, you're right. You're live.
I have an echo, but I'll do my best. So my name's Ben Coe, and I'm one of the first engineers at NPM. So I'm excited to talk to you for a couple minutes and tell you about what it's been like to pull in Andre's open source project to be NPM's official search. I just want to start by just publicly thanking Andre for his amazing. Okay, can you see my slides okay? Cool. So as I said, my name is Ben Coe. You can find me on GitHub at /bco. And before I tell you about what the adoption's been like for npm-SIO at NPM, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background about what motivated it. NPM's community is huge at this point. It's just amazing how much it's grown over the past couple years. At this point in time, we do about peak hours. We do about 15 to 18,000 requests a second for packages, and this represents about 7 million users installing packages on NPM. So the point is that the community is huge. So the approach I've always taken to building software and to improving NPM is that we should not try to reinvent the wheel. As much fun as it is to do a greenfields project, I don't think it's a good idea to reinvent the wheel. I'd rather use the absolutely amazing work that comes out of the community. And as Andre said at the start of his talk, search was something that did not work very well at NPM, and it was exciting for me to be able to use a project from the community to improve search. And this is what it looks like. So when you search on npm.js.com now, you're going to see identical search results to the npms.io website that Andre showed earlier. And we're using the same algorithm. We're using the same open source libraries. It's wonderful. One of the advantages of being able to integrate it directly into NPM is that we can do amazing things like add search to the CLI. So if you go to your CLI right now, and you type npm search and try a search term, you're actually going to see the same search results that you see on npm-SIO come up to your command line. So neat trick that a lot of people don't know about. So is this approach of adopting community projects working well? And how well did the launch of npm-SIO go on NPM? Well, happy to report it went wonderfully. These are our weekly active sessions on NPM. I've just highlighted before the holiday break. So we just, a gift to the community, we released the npm-SIO support on January 25th. You can see a dip. That's just that everyone goes away for Christmas, so there's always much lower numbers over the holidays. But before the holiday break, you can see we were doing about 1.3 million people on the website a week for NPM. Immediately on releasing npm-SIO as our main search engine, you can see a huge bump in the number of sessions. This results in this is actually about 400,000 more users a week using the website just in the couple months since we released it as a Christmas present. So this is great. I'm just impressed by the adoption so far. So what's next? On NPM's end, I hope that we can continue to embrace awesome open source projects like npm-SIO, continue to work with developers from the community like Andre, to just listen to the community and just keep making NPM awesome. Thanks for letting me talk for a second.
Can you guys give a applause for Benjamin?
Take care. Thanks.
So going back to the slides, this is actually the last slide. So finally, I can say that NPM search itself is open source. This means that you can directly contribute to how the search looks like and feels like. So any contributions, ideas, or bug reports are very welcome. And please help us make NPM search again. Thank you.